It was unprecedented at that time, and it did so with 48% of the vote. And it was a Labour Party utterly committed to the creation of a new social democratic British future, structured around the Beveridge Report, and structured around the idea of a new type of state, a mixed economy, a combination of public and private ownership, therefore the nationalisation of certain key industries, and the creation of a welfare state, including the creation of a national health service that could deliver healthcare free for all. Now, historians argue a huge amount about how much this was a consequence of the war, how much all of this propaganda and projection of the society as a new type of community during the war actually helped Labour win. They also argue a huge amount about how much people were actively enthused by Labour's agenda. In fact, we know that only 66% of the electorate eligible to vote actually registered. So this was not, people weren't rushing to go to the polls to vote in 1945. And there was a remarkably low turnout, not least in the armed services. The armed services that people thought had been radicalised by the Army Bureau of Current Affairs. Only 40% of servicemen voted. Whatever the degree of enthusiasm of the British people for this new system created in 1945, it clearly was a radically new type of system. The idea that the state should secure a new set of social rights that they would try to embed this idea of fair shares for all across forms of distribution was very, very new. The idea that the commanding heights of the economy could be owned by the state was profoundly new. And this system basically endures down to the late 1970s. So this is a decisive moment, whatever we might take of the how incomplete it is or how unenthusiastic or enthusiastic the British people would have. So the question that you have to figure out in the coming weeks after you are refreshed from your spring break in Cancun is where this fits in the longer story of the 20th century that I've been trying to tell you. And so there are basically two versions that you can have. One is that the Second World War consolidates and creates a new social democratic Britain. A social democratic Britain that actually we now know didn't last very long, because it only lasts down to the late 1970s, or you could argue, some people would argue, through to the 1990s. Or was that social democratic Britain actually just a product of the new types of liberalism that had emerged in the 20th century, more concerned with social questions? Okay? In other words, does the social democratic system that's constructed in the 1940s illustrate the continuing hold of liberalism, just its redirection into different types of forms? And it's that question that we'll begin to try and unpack and explain in the lectures when you return from spring break, which I hope is extremely pleasant for you. You've worked very hard this first half of the semester, and you are very deserving of a break. So I will see you when you get back.